The speed at which new media forms come into regular or normal use is incredible in and of itself, but it becomes normalized very, very quickly. So it becomes normal to imagine that you would have a mobile phone right beside you. Where's my mobile phone? I don't know where it is right now, so I'm a little agitated. But to make it strange is to realize that these things are constructions. They're fabrications of the way we negotiate our way through everyday life. And so if you can distance yourself from it and abstract yourself from the idea of its meaning, you will understand where it fits into the politics, the culture of our everyday lives. If you can't, you don't get that insight that you probably need in this particular subject and unit.
Yeah, well, it's like with Second Life, it's very easy to study that in one sense because no one's been on it. No one knows what it is. I show Google Images, it seems weird, but with Facebook, much harder. So that's
much
great.
harder,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, for me, the thing that I would have had to make strange was my natural relationship to television as I was growing up. So, and there are moments where we all make it strange. There's a what's called a slow food, slow media world out there, and do some research around that about how people say, all right, what if I change just for a couple of days the way I use media? Maybe the elimination of one thing allows you to realize how strange it is that you would always have that technology there. How significant it is that you see 16 images of your friends every day if you don't have those sorts of things. So giving yourself an abstract distance gets you a sense of how important it is to you, how significant it is to you, but also how possibly ephemeral it might be as well. That you can negotiate life, you still will eat, breathe, you know, and survive with technology or without. Well, you know, the interesting thing about academics is that what we found so far is that they work on a reputation and visibility culture very similar to celebrities. Not entirely, it's not exactly the same, but what we're finding is that higher and higher percentages of academics are producing versions of themselves online. And they do that partly because they have to. It's part of their job now that they're part of your worlds, you know, students' worlds in an online way. But another part is that they're finding it incredibly useful to connect very specifically to a group of maybe 15 or 20 other scholars, maybe a couple of hundred other scholars worldwide. And it has become much easier as they become familiar with the different forms of social media and what has been described as their affordances or their possibilities. That has allowed academics to produce identities that migrate from their university into a wider intellectual and professional culture. So before they get to an academic conference, which would have been the starting point in the past for making one's research visible, they've already made those connections and established research networks that are quite powerful. Those who are more powerful at constructing a professional persona, an academic persona, are actually probably moving up in that profession much more rapidly than anyone else. That's what we've discovered so far. One of the things that's very clear when you construct an online presence is that it moves into the past in terms of how your reputation is established. Having said that, the thing that you have to realize is that different stages of career demand possibly different kinds of relationships. It may be very important for you to establish really strong social media connections to people that are doing things that are similar to you. So classmates, it's probably more important to make connections to classmates at this stage than maybe your high school friends. Even though they might be really important and they might end up at your weddings and other big events, the reality is that in the contemporary media environment, a lot of new directions in it are determined by an age or generation cohort. And the more that you gain that sense of the value of other people around you, the better you'll be positioned in a media career.
Many thanks to David for giving us his time. Now for some more advice for the Module 1 exercise. Please note that I've noted a minimum number of readings and other scholarly sources you need to use. This is the minimum, not the maximum. Don't make your paragraphs too long. I would say that you want at least 5 paragraphs in the approximately 900 words of your blog post. And make sure your blog post has working hyperlinks. Just like on any website, a URL that's not a hyperlink is not likely to get clicked on. And it's best if you don't show the full URL, but use some words that reflect what you're going to be clicking on. I noticed a lot of people didn't take the time to figure out how to make a hyperlink in Cloud Deakin's informal chat area, which is fine because it was just practice. But in asking people to highlight and copy the URL, open a new tab, copy the URL into the address bar and press enter, you might only be asking others to spend 5 seconds doing so, but the vast majority of users will not do this. And of course, check all of these things work after publishing your blog post. Please note not only the day of the due date, but also the time. I've scheduled deadlines very strategically in this unit in order to discourage the possibility of leaving things until the last minute as much as possible. And if this is frustrating, just blame Tiffany, it was her idea. Please note that there will be no meLecture next week. Thank God. As next week is set aside for Exploration Week, and I'll upload a short document onto Cloud Deakin that explains what this is in the near future, so stay tuned. So if you have a few spare minutes now, you might like to jump on Twitter and join in on a conversation, or at least stalk a few celebrities to see how they construct their online personas. And speaking of celebrities, apologies again to Matt Damon, who I was really looking forward to having on the meLecture this week, but again we've run out of time. Goodbye. This film's about the origin and evolution of the world's largest social media site, Facebook, but not all's hunky-dory in Facebook land But not all's hunky-dory in Facebook land when main character Mark Zuckerberg is engaged in legal battles with his business the film garnered lots of critical praise with 8 Academy Award nominations. And it's... almost. This week's movie of the week is The Social Network. Many thanks to Zoe for the nomination. This film's about the origin and evolution of the world's largest social media site, Facebook, but not all's hunky-dory in Facebook land, as main character Mark Zuckerberg is engaged in legal battles with his business associates. As the film's tagline says, you don't make 500 million friends without making few enemies. The film garnered lots of critical praise with 8 Academy Award nominations. It not only negotiates the celebrity of Mark Zuckerberg himself, but also that of emerging actor Jesse Eisenberg. Personally, I preferred Zombicide. Zombieland.